You're watching Zaka Stokvel Insights, and we're still talking about the growth and evolution of Stokvels and burial societies. But where to from here? How can these societies continue to grow and thrive? Our resident expert, Thabiso Masudubele, guides us on that journey. Thabiso, can we look at how Ngwako society can look at protecting their finances when looking at all these diverse events?
Yes, I think one of the things that we always like to say when and you won't believe this, but a lot of the time the groups, when you look at how they transact, they'll tell you that they've got an account, they're using an individual's account to run the affairs of a Stokvel. I mean, we deal with a lot of groups every day, and this is such a common thing where groups don't trade and transact through a group account, but they transact through the account of an individual. And we've dealt with many cases where that individual has, helped themselves to the money. Sometimes they've paid it back, sometimes they haven't, and so on. So to protect their money, that's the start. Or have a bank account that's collective, that everyone has sight of. I mean, there are products out there in the market now where you can keep track of what's happening as long as you're part of the group.
What tools are those?
There are accounts from different banks. It's just that I want to say the specific. But you get a bank account where if there's a transaction that happens on an account, it's linked. Everyone gets an SMS to see that there's movement in the account. So if there's, a couple of us in a group, I get an SMS to say someone's withdrawn 3,000 Rand and I wasn't aware, we were at the meeting, there's no such. You're then able to pick up that someone's doing something that they're not supposed to do. And it's not just that person, because what the account also does is that you can't as an individual go and withdraw that thing. So there'll be rules like you need 3 people to be able to withdraw money. So immediately you know that those 3 are colluding to steal money, and you can raise it with other members, and it just discourages people from doing things that they're not supposed to do with resource money. So those are some of the things that people should do to protect their money. The other thing is not, obviously we encourage people not to fall victim to these so-called low-hanging fruits, to say, as a Stokvel, if you invest 100,000 here, you'll get 400,000 Rand in 2 weeks. They say if it's too good to be true, it's not true. So
the scam is lurking behind.
Thank you. We say, be careful, stay on the path of, developing your business, working hard, being in it for the long haul, and you will reap the rewards at the end of the day.
Now, Thabiso, what advice would you give them when it comes to expansion? Because already there seems to be a struggle in terms of financial management, this and that. But how would you, help them handle growth?
I think there are 2 sides to the issue. So growth has its disadvantages in the sense that if you're dealing with 10 members, it might be easier. It's easier to deal with 10 members than it is to deal with 20 members. So when you've got 10 members, you already have a system on how you cooperate. It's just the 10 of you, so setting up meetings becomes easier. So we always say, before we get to how you grow, are you at a place where you've got the systems and the admin in place to handle that particular growth? So it's not just enough to say we'd like to grow from 20 members to 100 members, and you're looking at the premium collection that we can do more with 100 members. But we always say, be aware that, as a group, you're managing yourselves and there's 20 people. It becomes quite different when there's now 100 people that you have to satisfy. These are 100 thoughts, 100 different voices. There'll be 20 dissenting voices. Getting to agreements becomes that bit more challenging. So one of the things we say in growth, always make sure that you are accounting for those challenges. So some of the things that people can do, for instance, to grow, is to be consistent. So people are drawn to something that works. So if you're a group, your burial society, and your objective is to make sure that there's a decent send-off for someone, do the things that you actually say you're going to do. If you say this is what you'll do for a member, do those things. And what happens is that people are always observing. I mean, people, as we walk in life, we are observing different things, the treatment that you get from a petrol station, all these different things. So people will observe that, hey, there's that particular group, those guys did a nice job there. And then people will start inquiring, how can we join? So some of the things that we do over and above people doing their work, we also help Stokvels profile themselves. So we help Stokvels who are part of Tyvision, we help them to profile themselves. So we do things like short clips and videos where people can begin to profile themselves. Do you have a logo, the uniform that you wear? And all of these things are within a strategy that we do for Stokvels. And the one thing that we've always appreciated is that it's not a one-size-fits-all. So we then look at the Stokvel itself, where it's based, how many members it has, what kind of Stokvel is it, why do they want to grow, do they have the necessary admin support that will make sure that this growth is well managed. And then once you've developed that thing, that's how we then support Stokvels to grow. And in making sure that, they evolve. Because another thing is that people have to evolve, a simple thing, the other day we were dealing with a group, we had to differentiate the difference between saving and investing. And people were saying, perhaps as we're starting a business as this group, one of the things that you've got to look at is that when do you expect to share the returns or the profits, or, is it at the end of the year every year, which means in the next year you're starting from scratch, or do you want to build something that's bigger and have an appetite that says, let's look at profit share and those things in the next 3 years and allow for the business that we've set up as a group to grow. So you then engage, you have to engage extensively with the group to understand exactly what's there, because every Stokvel is different. I think the one thing that we pride ourselves on is that we see every Stokvel as a unique group with their own conditions and circumstances. And I think that's what we'd also encourage corporates to do, as opposed to just thinking Stokvels are just one homogeneous market and sector. They think the same, they do things the same. Let's get into the groups, understand the dynamics of the group, and offer them strategies that talk to their current condition, and that they also were part of that particular strategy and it can see them go forward.
How would you, in this case, be able to forge the relationships or the partnerships, for instance, with the tourism sector in this case?
So I think there's a lot of opportunity for corporate. I think, so the way we look at ourselves is that we're the bridge between the Stokvel market and the corporate world. So I think some of the challenges that there's not always a great understanding of the segment itself. So we do what we'd call desktop research, or research to say these. But remember, when you do research, it's a very useful tool to use, but you have to dig really deep into those communities. So what we do is we spend more time with the groups themselves than with the corporate, because it's important to understand the different groups. Like I said to you, if you're going to have a strategy for Stokvels in Soweto, that strategy can't be the same as a strategy for groups in Tshwane. Because the name just escapes me, but I know they called something else. And the culture is quite different as well. So understanding those dynamics and nuances is very important in anything that you want to do with Stokvels. So you've also got to be part of that world in order to understand what is it that's needed from the groups that's beneficial to the groups. And as a corporate, you're looking to generate profits. But we always stress on the fact that it should be a mutually beneficial relationships, meaning that you're creating value for the Stokvels and you're getting value for yourself. And then we believe that way you'll then begin to build a longer lasting and mutually beneficial relationship.
Longer lasting, mutual and beneficial relationship.
Yes.
Well, that's where we wrap things up for today. And if your Stokvel or burial society needs more information on this topic, please feel free to reach out and use the contact details on the screen below. Until next time, take care and goodbye. This program is brought to you by Tyvision Media, helping Stokvels and burial societies reach their goals.